Okay, so here we are for episode 2 of the channel Adoption First Choice. My name is Lori. This is where we advocate and educate for not just adoption, but adoption as a first choice. Today we're going to be going over just getting started. I remember when we first started, we were YouTubing, and one of the ladies said there's a lot of paperwork. And I remember thinking, I'm a real estate agent, paperwork is my life. I can handle that. What I didn't realize was when I do paperwork for my job, there's progress. So one thing, paperwork, check mark. You know, the next piece of contract, done, check mark. And it's progress and you move forward. The frustrating thing that I found with adoption paperwork is that sometimes you're not moving forward because things can expire. So for us, we are just hit our 4-year mark being in this process. And every year there's stuff that would expire. So you're redoing all this stuff over and over and over again. And it feels like you're not making progress. It feels like you're just treading water and you're doing this for nothing. And that for me is where the frustration came in. You know, it was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I've already done it a billion times. It's not working. It is working though. You just have to be patient and get through it until eventually you match with your child. But I just wanted to clarify or put some stipulations on the paperwork part, because it's not just that there is a lot of paperwork, it's that you might have to be doing the same thing over and over and over again. And then another thing I wish I would have known is to keep things to reference back to. So, you know, there's one form where you have to say where you lived, in what town, and for how many years. And then the next town you lived in and for how many years, so they can kind of do background checks on you. And I mean, when you're growing up, I'm not like, oh, I lived in this house from, 2001 to 2004. So I had to ask my siblings, I had to ask my parents, I had to do all this research just to remember, where were we? What house was that? My dad's a contractor, so we moved around a lot. If you live in one house, no problem, that's gonna be easy. For us, it wasn't so easy. Well then, like I said, unexpectedly, we had to do that again later down the road. And I was like, where is that form? And I'm digging through, for example, this is our binder that we have for the 4 years that we've been doing this. And this isn't everything. Some of the stuff you can do online, so I don't have a physical printout copy of it. But yeah, there's a lot. And I was, I'm pretty organized, so I would put some, something with, background checks and finances, and, I kind of had stuff broken down into categories, but there's a few things that I would keep out as you're going through this. And one is history stuff that you don't know. So for me, it would have been all the places that I lived, for the past, since I was 18, I think they say you have to do. I should have kept that out to reference again for the next time. Another thing that you don't remember and just memorize is once you get to your I-800 or your I-800A, which you'll learn what that is when you get going, there's either a receipt number or an account number for that. Well, when those expire and you have to redo those forms, you need that number. And so again, I was digging back through my paperwork, where's that I-800A? And so keep that out, to reference in the future. So bottom line is, try to keep your paperwork as organized as possible. One thing that I found that worked for me is that even though these paperworks or documents were technically in different categories, I would keep one of each of the most recent. So if one was, for visa or the I-800, I would keep that with my most recent home study, and I'd keep that with my, most recent financial statement. That way, when I did have to reference something, I knew the most recent and most updated forms were all going to be together. Then once I had an updated or more recent document or form of that thing, I would file then that where it was supposed to go and keep the new one with the kind of the new folder or the new documents. I hope that makes sense. It just made it easier for me to, like I said, go back and reference things and find information that you aren't always storing up in here. So that's paperwork, that's being organized. I hope that helps moving forward. Like I say, you're still gonna learn things along the way, but those are some things that helped me.